Welcome back to the New York Times Close Up. For decades, Randall Dana has been collecting parts of a lost and historical New York City, from parts of facades to ceiling medallions, classical moldings. He salvages and catalogs it all, his story told through words and pictures in this Sunday's City section of the New York Times by Niko Koppel. Niko, where'd you find this guy?
I came across this story by finding the website lostnewyorkcity.com, which is operated by Randall Dana, the subject of the story. And I was immediately intrigued by the obsessive documentation of New York's 19th century buildings, which ended up being demolished and abandoned during the 1970s. And I basically just wanted to find out more about this urban Indiana Jones.
And why did he do this? What got him into it?
Well, what got him into it is he came from a difficult childhood. His father owned a bar in Greenwich Village and then moved on to some in Midtown.
As you say, one of the owners of Peter's Backyard.
Exactly, Peter's Backyard. And his father was loving, but he also was under the influence of his mother, he was an adopted child, but his mother was seriously ill and under heavy medication. And so in many ways, this was a motivation for Randall to leave the apartment. They shared a one-bedroom apartment, had very little privacy. And so he used to just spend his days exploring the city, cutting school, and he came upon basically these neighborhoods of abandoned buildings where there was just this incredible sculpture, this incredible flourishes that were just left to rot in the dust.
And would have been lost, presumably, without him. Now, you say in the story that he accumulated 50 tons. I mean, I'm glad he wasn't married to my wife. Never would have allowed that. Where did he put 50 tons of artifacts?
He had several storage spaces around the city. He would, befriend someone and say, hey, you have 100
You mind if
square
I put
feet.
a ton of things
Exactly.
here?
And these kind of became the people that he stored them with. Some were, kind of old-time New York stonemasons. Some were career criminals that he kind of, brushed shoulders with. And home base for him, though, was at the Cable Building, which used to be the headquarters of the cable cars that used to run in Lower Manhattan. And he had a storage space there, which he lived in for a period of time as well.
He left New York. Why?
He left New York because the building he was living in was condemned, and he had dropped out of school as a sophomore, so he really didn't have any marketable job skills. So what he did was he would work part-time janitorial work, he would work as a security guard, and he ended up just basically not having any stability within the city. He was priced out of Manhattan, he was living in Brooklyn, and he had to end up selling his most prized possessions, his collections, to basically survive, it was his only currency. And
now he's in the Midwest and makes replicas of lost New York?
Yeah, he makes replicas of his original collection, and also operates the website, which I think is a stand-in for his collection too.
And it's sort of a virtual collection, if you will, and well cataloged, as you point out.
Incredibly well cataloged. I mean, from the building which he took a piece from, when it was demolished, when it was built, the person who built it. And behind every piece too is a story, from floors collapsing underneath him while he was in these buildings, to running into packs of, feral dogs in these tenements, to coming across time capsules, when loosening bricks in these buildings.
Literally time capsules,
yes,
as well as figurative ones. Let me ask you a question about your trajectory, if I may. You got out of school, you came to the Times, you're a news assistant at the Times. How do you get a story into the newspaper?
Well, it's some hard work. It's some, I think that it's basically establishing relationships. I think a lot of it is editors kind of putting you through a test. I mean, you're young and you're inexperienced, yet I think sometimes a story can stand on its own. And in this case, I was hoping that it would.
And I'm sure there'll be more of them. Niko Koppel, thank you for that preview from Sunday's City section of the New York Times. When we return, An Inconvenient Truth, the movie energized the global climate debate, but what is Al Gore up to now? James Traub will join us with a preview of his article on the former vice president in the Sunday Times Magazine.
Visit our website at ny1.com, or you can email us at ny1news@ny1.com.